on that one issue or topic. We then will go round again if we can, if we have time for further questions. Declare the meeting open to the public then. Agenda item number 1 is apologies. Are there any apologies? Apologies. Agenda item number 2 is chairperson's business. With an update from meeting with Farmers for Action. Can I ask members to note the discussion yesterday from Farmers for Action and IAPA? They have indicated that they have new information to send to the committee. The Deputy Chairperson and I did agree to bring this new information to the committee when it is received. Robin was there also. Joe, do you want to, Deputy Chairperson, you want to say anything on that, or are you happy enough?
Well, Chairman, obviously there was a fairly big delegation of them here, but the same issues pertain. That is, we're unclear about our role and remit in relation to how we can progress their situation. We'll wait for further advice before we can do anything.
Yeah. Okay. Robin, you want to say anything? You were there?
No, I'm okay. Enough, Chair.
Okay, so it's just wait till we get the additional information and see it through from that.
Sorry, Chair, they had a piece of correspondence from the Secretary of State about competencies. Is that going to be circulated?
Yes, it is. It is, with all other information that they provide.
Send it to me.
They haven't just sent that yet. They'll send it all in the one go, hopefully. Agenda item number 3 then is minutes of the meeting, 14th of January 2014. Can I refer members to draft minutes at the meeting at pages 6 to 10? Are members content that the draft minutes are accurate? If so, I will sign. Agreed? Okay. Agenda item number 4 then is matters arising. Can I refer members to matters arising at page 13 to 45? Joanne, you want to bring something up?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. A couple of points. First of all, page 14, our Stuyback. I think this is as close to an apology that the committee is ever likely to receive from the department. Yesterday, I questioned the Minister in her statement on the lack of east-west dimension. Would it be possible if we could ask from the committee the department to detail the contact they have had with DEFRA on this issue?
Okay, members agreed? Okay. Any other issues, members? Or
Yes,
sorry.
Sorry. Again, page 16. Beef prices. Could I firstly declare an interest, as my husband is a beef farmer? I think the points made by Harry are of very real concern to suckler farmers, and indeed the Ulster Farmers Union agreed some funds may need to be transferred between rural development pillars to help soften the impact of these imports. One of their suggestions, a scheme to support our vulnerable suckler cow industry, could have helped. Would it be possible then to write to the Ulster Farmers Union on the issue of beef imports from Eastern Europe and to gauge, I think it would be important for us to gauge their views on how their concerns could be addressed by DARD? Okay,
are members content? Okay. Any further issues around matters arising, or are members happy to go as suggested?
Yeah, just, Chairman, later on I want to raise the whole issue about those farmers that unfortunately will not get their single farm payment this year because of the
remote sensing,
yeah, which is causing big concern.
Okay, any other business? Joe, that would be great. Yeah. Okay, agenda item number 5 then is an oral briefing from the Young Farmers Clubs of Ulster. Can I refer members to the memo from the clerk at page 47 and a briefing paper from the Young Farmers Club at pages 48 to 53. Can I welcome to the committee Mr Martin Blair, President, Mr Michael Reid, CEO, Mr James Taylor, Coleraine Young Farmers Club, and Ms Cathy Knowles, Gloryford Young Farmers Club. Very, very welcome to the committee here today. We'll be very interested in hearing what you have to say. Martin, Michael, I'm not sure who's leading off. Martin, you're leading off. Good to see you again.
You too.
I don't know how long your presentation is. We usually 10 minutes of a presentation, then we'll go on to questions, if that's in order.
Yep.
So without further ado, carry on.
Mr Chairman, members of the Agriculture and Rural Development Committee, may we thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. The papers tabled before you highlight a brief background to the history of the Young Farmers Clubs of Ulster. It provides a brief overview of our work in terms of education, competition and opportunities for our members. Fundamentally, we are a member-led and member-run organisation who for nearly 85 years has been a mainstay of Agri and rural Northern Ireland. Our board consists of members aged between 20 and 33 years of age who represent clubs from within the 6 counties. All board members are elected by their peers. The operation of a Young Farmers Club is down to each individual club who create a programme of activities that are relevant to the age profile of their members, the things that interest them and what opportunities there are in their local communities. Meetings will be a mixture of in-meetings which can involve guest speakers and demonstrations, and out-meetings which can be as diverse as go-karting to cinema visits to learning how to judge stock or visiting a feed mill. Our membership of around 3,000 members participate in 32 different competitions. They also have 33 education and training opportunities and take part in numerous events, from arts festival to stock judging to public speaking and participating in the international exchange programme. The key is the personal development that can be obtained through training, participating, travelling and carrying out roles within the club, the county or central structures. Cathy, James and I have all progressed through our positions in our clubs, then our counties and now to the central positions which we hold today. Strategically, we are committed to the creation of better farmers, better countrymen and women and better citizens. 2 of our past presidents are current MLAs and many past members hold high-profile positions in local politics and businesses. As a community-based organisation, our local area is important to us, and in many ways we have worked to the benefit of wider community programmes, with members sitting on lags, village regeneration groups and raising money for local charities. In the last 16 years, club members have raised in excess of £1 million for local charities. And within the last 6 months, the members have assisted the Deputy President and myself in raising over £14,000 for Cancer Focus NI. As an organisation, we are a consultee of DARD, DOE, Department of Education, Department of Health, Department of Justice, and sit on a number of steering groups, which include the RDP stakeholder and monitoring groups, DOE Rural Road Safety Forum, the Farm Safety Partnership, the Farm Family Health Steering Group and numerous industry groups throughout Northern Ireland. With rural isolation being a major issue for young people in rural areas, the YFCU plays a major role in both educating and entertaining young people in a safe environment, socially activating young people in an ethos of interdependence, equality and diversity. So looking back on our funding package as we are nearing its completion from 2011 to 2014, the Minister 3 years ago identified five projects for the Association to undertake. This was unfortunately a rushed process, as the YFCU had been identified initially as an area for a funding cut. And when this decision was reviewed, there was little time to put flesh in the bones of these targets, and therefore some were more effective than others. We were pleased to have the opportunity to speak to you today, as there is no doubt that if we are to be successful in obtaining funding support for 2014 to 2017, these discussions should be underway by now. The 5 identified projects in 2011 were firstly work with the GAA, secondly a family farm succession programme, a schools programme, fourthly looking at women's issues, and fifthly DARD online services. So firstly, looking at our work with the GAA, the original project proposed and revolved around our work with the GAA in relation to the road safety campaign primarily. This immediately proved difficult due to the GAA already being involved in a DOE-funded rural roads programme. There were ongoing difficulties operationally in this relationship, as many ideas didn't fit within the GAA's already agreed strategic priorities. A number of very positive things did, however, happen, and personal working relationships have been most positive. 860 of our members have interacted with GAA members during the programme period against a target of 880. This numerical target will be surpassed in early February. A DVD was produced by members of both organisations together after a series of workshops. This DVD can now be used as a community relations tool, equality and diversity training, and will be further developed in 2014-15. Ryan Feeney from the GAA presented to our board and his staff to our 6 county committees. Michael Reid, our CEO, was due to reciprocate in January, but unfortunately this has been postponed by the GAA at this stage. Workshops on things like traditional drumming and sporting games have taken place, and most encouragingly, after the organised events, a number of clubs have arranged follow-up understanding sports and social events. Many clubs were involved in the programmes, however some were very active, namely Carrats, Finvoy, Garva, Carray, Moycraig, The Glens, Ballywalter and Randalstown, with the main GAA clubs being Kickham's, Randalstown, Ballycarn, Rory Oak, Glenara Foshings and Glenallen. So in looking at our family farm succession target, here we were charged with 150 people attending talks and then 250 at follow-up mentoring sessions. The initial target for attending talks was easily surpassed. However, the following mentoring task was unrealistic at 250, which would have meant almost every family who attended taking part in a mentoring meeting on their farm. 29 people did participate. The 230 people who attended represented approximately 110 families. Therefore, about 1 in 4 of the families took up mentoring, which in our opinion is a good performance. At our seminars, talks involved local speakers and those from the UK covering all aspects of finance and law, delivered in a user-friendly manner. Venues in both the east and west of the country were used. We remain involved in the process despite surpassing our numerical target due to the worth we see in its delivery, and are a communications partner in the current DARD UFU series of seminars. Our other target in this area was to get 75 people to attend other RDP events. This was achieved at 160%. Farming trips in the period have included a wide variety of excursions. Hosts included AFBI, Renewable Energy at Lochray, Ballyrashane Creameries, Grassland Society Farms, various focus farms, the Afer Williams Trailer Factory in Wales, and the Lanco Vaccine Plant, study trips to the south of Ireland, Wales, England and Scotland, and diversification visits from flowers to crafts and sweets. All practical-based learning to the benefit of our members. And looking at DARD online services, here we achieved approximately 200% of the target set, with informative county-based workshops on APHIS run by CAFRE staff. We have trained 12 members as APHIS mentors, and they now carry out tasks from giving talks to helping with queries and practical inputting of data. In recent months, we have hosted 2 member focus groups on the future development of online services with DARD and CAFRE staff. And looking at our schools programme, this has been a tremendous success, with 1,038 children participating and the target of 1,200 due to be surpassed in February. As per the programme targets, we were challenged to bring on board 2 partners and deliver a programme of work. 22 schools have been involved to date. We devised and now deliver a field to fork programme to key Stage 3 children in rural schools. As often as is practically possible, these will involve 2 schools together from different religious backgrounds. The programme is delivered by a member who is a farmer, a representative from Dumbia, our sponsor, who is the processor, and Tesco, who is an example in the retail sector. The sessions are educational and fun with interactive quizzes and goodie bags. The programme has led to some new YFCU school clubs being formed and new members joining existing clubs. Looking at women's issues, we have worked closely with DARD and we have identified 3 specific areas where we have focused our work upon. One, namely women's health, relationships and women in business, for which we organised a tremendous seminar for our ladies. We would like to thank Robin Swan for his sponsorship, for Joanne Dobson for her welcome and for the use of these fantastic facilities. We have achieved 141% of the target set in numerical terms, and we have followed up many events with meal shots and ran the sponsored walk at Stormont, which raised almost £2,000 for Cancer Focus NI. In summary, all the projects will be achieved, and the only exception being the post-family farm succession mentoring target, which in retrospect was virtually impossible to achieve. Departmental staff have understood in relation to this issue, and we have substantially surpassed targets in other areas, and we hope that this shall be looked upon positively. So looking forward to 2014 to 2017, our executive have reviewed the programmes we would like to be involved with and have had an initial high-level discussion with DARD staff. We have also requested an opportunity to share this with the Minister during February, and we currently await a response. The issues we have proposed are ones which have been put forward, not only been put forward by our members, but are also ones which we believe sit within the departmental priorities and in some cases cross-departmentally. These issues include farm efficiency and benchmarking, training programmes, farm safety initiatives, renewable energies, biosecurity, online services, the school programmes development, rural crime, rural health, mental health and inclusion. So rather than in the previous 5 programmes being 5 rigid programmes for 3 years, we would propose that some programmes may have a 1-year lifespan, some a 2, some a 3, and hence the list of 10 items. So, Mr. Chairman, members, I thank you for giving us this opportunity, and we would be delighted to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin, for your presentation and the information given. I suppose the first question I would put down to you is, of course, an organisation cannot operate without the funding in place to do so. And you alluded to the rushed nature of the discussions the last time round, and I do remember that period, and the fact that you basically were set 5 targets or priorities to deal with. What discussion, or you've said you've written to the Minister on these issues. Has there been any engagement as to, basically, have you given the way ahead here, your document, have you given that to the Minister to see? And is there any feedback on that?
No, initially we approached the department and got feedback from them and buy-in from them on the issues, and we discussed and we chopped and changed the list slightly. We felt having the second process was to talk to this committee alongside a request to the Minister for a formal meeting. We've had acknowledgement of the request, but nothing else. My intention was to forward a paper to her after we received feedback from the committee to see if there was any views that were different to ours. Certainly departmentally, they're very supportive of the 10 programmes that Martin alluded to.
And just go through us again, just for clarity, the programmes that you see going forward and the way ahead, and even if you can give us the time frame for each of those and the rationale then for those programmes and the time frame.
Well, firstly, the farm efficiency and benchmarking, that's simply led on from the major issues from last year with the feed shortage and the issues with the weather. Our members are very keen to be looking into the actual efficiency and planning on their farms and financial planning on their farms. Looking into things like feed management, financial management, and possibly tying in with Green Mountain Dard with benchmarking as well. So, possibly that's one that we could be looking over the 3 years, maybe to look at and educating our members. In terms of training programmes, we're continually asked by our members about, training opportunities and what we could provide and facilitate. So we have looked at working with CAFRE. We're also currently looking into some sort of accreditation for our members holding office-bearing positions and potentially winning competitions at national level, that we would hopefully be able to, assign some level of accreditation that would maybe hold some weight on a CV or. And Michael's currently looking into this.
Just quickly, the Welsh Association have met with AQA, and they're looking at all aspects of training that are involved in the programmes and the provision of AQA points. And we see that as being a big step forward as CAFRE courses get fuller and fuller. A lot of children of farmers can't get places, and by taking part in young farmers training or other training that has an accredited aspect to it, those additional small number of points may push a child with 120 points to 125. That would differentiate them from somebody who'd just gone through a school's career with no actual background in practical farming. So it's the Welsh Association to have this live in September, and we hope to follow through quickly on their coattails.
Okay.
And there'll be additional, maybe looking into additional training courses for trailer training, chainsaw courses, spray courses. Just, our members have countless ideas, so that's how we temper those. But looking at farm safety initiatives, obviously on the back of the recent campaign that has been launched as well, and it's a very relevant issue within our farming families and our organisation. So really, possibly we could look at becoming, mentors or host farms who would be training our members on first aid that they could be using on their family farms. And basically, as I've said, we act as a communications partner within the campaign, and we would love to continue to do so. Renewable energies, of course, is a big issue within agriculture at present. Looking at, with again, a wide variety of issues that our members have highlighted, photovoltaic, hydro, and just and there's a thirst there for more knowledge and a thirst for more information. So possibly we could be delivering information to our members. In terms of biosecurity, again, disease prevention on our farms, we could possibly look at, again, educating our members, working with CAFRE on biosecurity techniques on farms. Online services, we had a good take up from the last programme, and we found it very useful, and our members found it very useful. Our members really appreciated being consulted and the different changes to the APHIS online and things like that. So we've appreciated that, and we'd like to continue that. School programmes, as I've said, has been a tremendous success. And our Field to Fork campaign, and we would endeavour to try and continue that. It's a good way of us boosting our membership, but it's a good way of us educating school children on basically on agriculture and on the rural economy. Rural crime, rural health and mental health, again, is very prevalent issues in rural communities at present, and we would like to try and deliver some sort of programme through that. And again, inclusion within all these programmes. So basically, in terms of what will be 1, 2 and 3 year, that's that's still.
I think things like the online services, for example, where they've come to, they're doing a lot of work in the department. It's probably 2015-16 before our inputs would be required on that one, for example. So that would be a year 2 or year 3, 1 year input. On the farm safety, for example, in the new 3-year plan for the Farm Safety Partnership, HSE can't deal with the number of requests they have for people who want to do farm safety training, and they believe that putting mentors in place through young farmers members, we could deliver some of that training at a sort of stage 1 level on their behalf. That's the way we worked with APHIS this year. We got our 12 of our members trained as trainers. They went out and on a county basis. So some things will very naturally be 3 years. We found this year we were struggling in year 3 to repeat the same mantra 3 years on the trot. And we're just very keen we don't fall into that same problem again.
Thank you very much for that. Final question before we move on. This will all come at a cost. Without declaring your hand, if that's the game that you're in at the minute, do you see this? Do you see your funding having to be increased in order to deliver this?
No. I mean, we are trying to reduce our dependency while our costs are going up by about 15% per annum due to doing an awful lot more. We don't see any need to increase. We've brought on board increased sponsorship from outside. Our membership fees have gone up, and we're looking at different ways to drive revenues. So we would be looking for the same funding as in 2011 and in 2008.
Okay, thank you. Joe Byrne, Deputy Chairperson.
Chairman, I welcome the presentation and the submission you made, and I want to at the outset say I think the young farmers provide a very good service for young people involved in the farming community. I'm very aware of 16 young farmers in the tractor run last year. Charity event to raise a lot of money. In terms, Chairman, of the current outcomes of the current programme you're finishing, what would you say were the most successful projects you're involved in, and how do you feel that you can develop further from that? Thanks.
James was our Agri Affairs Chairman, and he led our Family Farm Succession programme.
The Family Farm Succession programme is now finished, but we had actually kind of took the initiative in it ourselves before we had been challenged by the Minister to achieve the targets over a 3-year period. And that was in the back of myself having been to the Oxford Farming Conference, and that was a very hot topic at that time. And whenever that process began, it was, pardon the pun, but it was the white elephant in the room that no one was talking about, and it kind of really did help to kickstart the whole element of family farm succession, which hadn't been talked about because it was that big white elephant. And for us, it was a success, and it seemed to capture the imagination of a lot of members of, not only members of our organisation, but their families, and also people who weren't involved with the young farmers. They came along to our events, seminars, etc. We had speakers from Wales, Cork, and professional solicitors, accountants, whatever, from closer to home, giving their viewpoints. Also people who had done Nuffield scholarships and had travelled around the world and seen what other countries were doing. So it was, I suppose in a way, it was very enlightening for a lot of people, but the downside of it was the fact that it seemed to get flogged on for so long, and we were being asked to do the same thing over and over again. And I think Countryside Services have had a similar issue as well, trying to stem the same message out. And Northern Ireland is not that big a place. You can only go to so many towns and so many sides of the province before you start to overrun your, where you've already been. But I think the schools programme has been very successful as well. I'd done a one-day event with Martin and Ballycastle, between Ballycastle High School and Cross and Passion. So that was a cross-community event where we were there. That was kind of the first one that we'd done as well. It was a bit of a guinea pig. We felt like guinea pigs at the time, but it was a great success. The enthusiasm that we got from the children was quite amazing. And we did get some new members out of it as well, which is a bonus. But the real message there is to try and reconnect people with the land. We're very lucky in this province that most people are only one generation away from the land. And if you went across to the mainland, people can be 2, 3, even 4 generations away from the land, and they're completely out of touch with agriculture. But it's good to make that connection. And I know some of the people that have been more involved with it since that first one that we done have really enjoyed it and seen a great benefit from it.
I think the cross-community angle to the schools programme, the most recent 2 clubs, one's a reopen and one's a brand new club, where the Glens in Ballycastle and BMWR, which is Burren Mayor Bridge, Warren Point, Rust River, they chose the name, not us, and St Paul's School in Kilrea is our most recent schools club. So, subliminally, it's just put a message out there, and we've become maybe a more open organisation through the last 3 years.
The success of the programmes, some of them have been excellent, but we would just urge on a new programme that we could be, with the department, reactive to a programme coming to its natural end, like Family Farm Succession after 2 years. And we could have been, in the 3rd year, we actually requested from the department that we could change our 3rd year target to be on benchmarking and feed management on the back of last winter, but it was so rigid and so tightly tied up, we had to continue on with the succession. So just if we would urge that we could maybe be reactive, and it's reviewed every year. There's a review meeting every year.
That's fine, Chair, thanks.
Okay, Joanne Dobson.
Thank you, Chair. Can I thank you for your briefing, and can I put on record my admiration for all the work the clubs you do. You do a tremendous job for the young farmers, and I was delighted to step in for my colleague Robin Swan Shoes to co-host the Rural Women in Business Seminar last October. Very successful event. Amazed at the amount of young women interested in agriculture, and they managed to get me out of the building to do the walk in the dark around. So it was a fantastic, just putting Roberta Simmons and the work she did with it. It was a superb event. So I'm a champion for young farmers because you do a tremendous job. Can I ask, first of all, what's your view on question 17 of the recent CAP Pillar 1 consultation, where DARD suggests making a Level 3 qualification in agriculture or an equivalent subject a requirement for young farmers and new entrants receiving an award from the Regional Reserve? And do you agree, maybe if we could lump this together with some of the concerns, this could possibly bar a genuine young farmer who does not hold a qualification recognised?
That's in our consultation response, we said exactly that we felt Level 3 was potentially too high, that we thought it should be an MVQ level. Within our membership, we have some excellent farming members who completed a one-day-a-week course at Greenmount, which only qualified them then as an ND or an MVQ. So having a third level, very strict requirement, we felt would be
a barrier.
Yes.
So
Could I ask, do you know, is there a reason? I never got a straight answer from Dard. Why has
you're asking us to get a straight answer for
Do you- has anyone any idea why level 3 why has level 3 been picked and not level 2? Do they think that all farmers should have a level 3 qualification?
Well, it's something we need to probe further, because I certainly have been hearing it through the constituency office that it would, many of farmers do feel it would be a bargain, and we need so many in the industry, don't want to discourage them. So would you, I take it you would agree then that if Dard carry this through, the onus is Dard to make sure there's proper availability for the courses, and we do need to probe further why level 3 as well.
Yeah.
Too, so.
I mean, that's the point I touched on earlier on. All young farmers getting a chance to take up a level 3 qualification would be difficult at the moment because
With
cafe places
availability,
are full.
yeah.
It's the point which is why they've gone the AQA route. But equally so, with 2 agri graduates beside me,
Okay.
there are a lot of very capable farmers who are only qualified to level 2.
Maybe sure that's something we can take forward based on your briefing here today, the worry that I certainly share and that you share as well about this.
You could also turn the whole thing on its head and argue that the people who have the level 3 qualification don't actually need the top up. It's the people who either didn't have the academic ability to continue on in their courses or didn't get the equal opportunity to do it. But maybe they should be looking at the other way around. Maybe they should be getting the top up.
Okay.
Because they're maybe in more need of the financial support on farm. But then at the same time, you look up all through the generations. There's been farmers for years who have been very successful at what they do, and they didn't have any opportunity to continue on from school after they were 15 or 16.
Well, I do feel, so you agree with me that we should take this forward through.
And just simply on the other issue within the consultation was, initially we were informed that anyone that had shown any activity within their farm business within the last 5 years, whether that be a name on a farm business ID, a name on a herd book, would be automatically excluded from any top-up in a young farmer scheme. Well, we would throw our hands up at that and call it madness, because from what we have been basically from what the department and everybody has been encouraging us to do and encourage our members to do within our family farm succession, we have been encouraging our members to become partners in the business, encouraging them to get their name on the herd book, encouraging them on a farm business ID, and now that's been told. Now we're being told, no, you shouldn't have done that. You need to be a brand new entrant into the business. So it'll be interesting to hear what Dard's taking that as now.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Do you want, or Robin Swan, sorry?
Thanks, Chair. Chair, can I declare an interest as a member of the Young Farmers Clubs of Ulster and a past president?
Is he one of the successful MLAs?
Yes.
He's not so young either.
Yeah. I'm still a member because they still take me to right debit, even though I never go out chance.
There's an age limit.
There's no age limit on them boys taking out the right debit, I can assure you. But, Chair, just in regard, I know you were cautious to ask, but the previous Dard minister did make noises at a stage that she was going to remove all funding from the Young Farmers Clubs of Ulster, and it led to quite a vociferous public campaign, so it was reinstated back in 2011 for a 3-year period. For the targets that was set, is achieved GAA participation 860, succession planning 129, Dard outreach 74 attended, 9 mentors created, school outreach 1,038, women's inclusion 423. How much did Dard pay is? Well, the fact, Chair, I have a good idea on this, and the public accounts,
£75,000 a year, which we think is fantastic value for money for the department, considering the results we achieved.
Chair, and I think that's something we need to recognise, and not just in this presentation, but it's also the additional work that goes on, support that's provided for that money as well. And I'm concerned that this current minister hasn't met the Young Farmers Clubs of Ulster, because I would hate either this organisation and the work it does in the community to be put at a disadvantage, and follow on from how the previous minister tried to treat them at a stage, for a very small pot of money out of the Dard budget for the work and the contribution that they do, and I want to commend them for that, and I think it's only apt that this committee support any call that the Young Farmers Clubs will make to meet the minister. And that one thing I'm going to ask, what's the biggest challenge for the organisation out there at the minute apart from funding?
From my point of view, we are becoming a younger organisation. Bringing young people in at 11, 12 is easy. Maintaining that as people leave the country. A lot of our members have gone off to New Zealand during the year, or go off to education, wherever it is, and then don't come back. I think our challenge is that our profile, which even 3 or 4 years ago was a lot flatter than it is now, is very young people based, and we're finding it harder to hold on to our 21 plus members.
Yeah. It's maintaining our, ensuring that our activities and our competitions remain relevant as times evolve. There's so many other activities that young people can become involved in. You know, young people sometimes would like to just sit in the house, sit on Facebook, Twitter, just sit on a laptop at night, whereas we're encouraging them to actually come out and socially interact person to person rather than sitting doing it over a computer. So, you know, we struggle with that continually, but it's just how we evolve with times and how we adapt. We're continually adapting our competitions and making them more relevant, and our activities and making them more relevant. So that'll be one challenge.
Just in finalising, something you mentioned earlier on, Michael, was the formal recognition then of the the leadership roles that young people attend, their committee attendance, and also the proficiency scheme as well. How successful do you think you will be in gaining a formal recognition for that?
I'm very hopeful because Wales have done it, and really, we follow their model. One of our staff is going over at the end of this month to meet with the Welsh Association and go through what they've done. But really, all they've done is taken the papers that have been there, probably in your time, Robin, and put them into a training format. So there's not a huge amount of additional work, and that's signed off by AQA, and they allocate AQA points to it. So it'll take some manpower hours, but I think it's very doable.
Okay, thanks, Chair.
Thomas Buchanan.
Thank you, Chair, and again, I thank you for your presentation today and commend the young farmers for the tremendous work that they do throughout the various areas. And I know this has been touched on, but I think I'll ask it again anyway, is, what real tangible benefits do you see has flowed from the programmes that you have been carrying out, not only for the young people within the organisation, but also that would flow on to the older farming community and the communities in the rural areas, because I think it's the tangible benefits that follow on into the farming community that really is something that needs to be actually built upon.
Well, a few there, the family farm succession for one. If we're educating our members into, broaching the subject with their father, with their uncle, with their grandfather on the farm, obviously that's a tangible benefit because that's prolonging the life of that farm as a farm business. So we're broaching the subject because often an older farmer doesn't want to talk for obvious reasons about it. The DARD online services, as we're creating mentors within our membership, obviously, we're hoping to modernise the whole application of AIACs, farm modernisation programmes, that we're encouraging our members to be doing it online, doing their herd book online, stuff like that, and hopefully then that'll rub off on their father, or if not, he'll pass on the responsibility to them. So, again, the schools programme, we could give you arguments for them all, how they have tangible benefits to the agriculture industry and the rural economy. The schools programme, we're educating young school members there who potentially have no idea where the chicken on their plate, where the steak on their plate comes from. They think it comes from Tesco, they think it comes from Iceland. They have no idea. Practically, a farmer has to work to produce that animal. So I could give you arguments on them all. So.
And I mean, if funding is cut on and coming to you, obviously, how do you see if that's going to affect the delivery that you're doing at the minute?
I think my job would go to start with, if I'm totally honest, because at the end of the day, one of the things that we are a consultee cross-departmentally, and I think it's very important that young people have a voice on issues from justice to, I was up here at the Roads meeting with Mark Durkin last week. We have to have a voice in a whole different range of areas that affect Northern Ireland. The first cuts would have to be at the top level, where we're involved strategically in projects. We're a member-driven, member-led organisation, so the members would continue to run the proficiency schemes that they've done for 85 years, and they continue to play an active part in Northern Ireland life. take that a stage further and to deal with bodies like AQA and to take it that level above, it does take a staff team to do that, and support from the department really helps support a staff team. So that's where I see the biggest change would be.
Yeah, so that would be a detriment to
would be
our organisation.
Drastic.
Okay, Declan McAleer.
Thank you, Chair. And first of all, I just want to clarify the comments that Joanne made earlier. I attended one of the public consultations event in respect of the CAP reform, and the public of the level 3 qualification went down like a lead balloon. So it did. And I also want to thank you for coming, because looking at the amount of work you've engaged in has given me a deeper appreciation of the work you carry out. And I have to say, for £75,000, it is very, very good value for money. The question I want to ask is sort of a wee bit, you kind of touched on it there. One of the sort of the burning topics here we would get from a lot of people out in the farming community is the whole business of trying to get single farm payments processed quicker and getting them out earlier. And the two pillars which we always find in response to our questions is the use of remote sensing to speed up the inspections and the use of online. And we learned from a recent visit to Orchard House that 20% of farmers complete their applications online, and actually only a third of that, 20%, actually is the farmer. There's 2/3 is the agent. Can you, or do you, or can you envisage a role whereby you might be able, your group might be able to encourage more uptake in the online applications to increase that figure, go closer to what it is, say, for example, in the south of Ireland, where I think it might be 50 or 60% or something like that, you know?
We could definitely play a part in it. The problem is the average age of a farmer is, well, it's very old. I don't know what it is. It's in the high 50s.
Robin's age there.
He's a member of Young Farmers Club, isn't he? He can be too old.
So we're getting under retirement age, and that's what you're saying.
Sort of closer.
And their understanding of computer systems is, in 95% of cases, is zero. So the best way you can change that is to start and get more young people as head of holding, and taking the business decisions. Or you can also train the farmers' daughters or sons to do that for them. But there's a serious financial risk in anyone undertaking the filling in of their IX form, because it's A, worth so much to the business will sink if they don't get it, and B, the department's very quick to take it away from you if you don't fill it in right. Yeah. And I know that's where a lot of people would be reluctant to let a family member fill it in, either online or otherwise. The online system is great because it's almost foolproof, but things can still be done wrong. And that's why so many people probably often pay to have, especially if they've a complicated APHIS application to make. Sorry, not APHIS, IX application to make. But I think there's definitely room there for us to get involved in all the different online services that are available, because they're always being developed, especially in respect to pigs and cattle. I know there's a lot of benchmarking systems being developed online. But it's definitely worth trying. Yeah.
Okay, Declan. William Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologise for not being here for all your presentation. And I've been a farmer myself, and some of my family, my son-in-law actually is a member of the Young Farmers Club also. So, and actually at the weekend I was seeing a video of the latest tractor on the head. But I mean, I think that they're well placed, Young Farmers Clubs, to advise and to help in a number of areas. Young people coming on, and that's very good. In relation to the proposals on the CAP, the department's proposals for young farmers, that has already been mentioned. I would have concerns that as the proposal stands, a level 3 qualification and first time into the business will that proposal as it stands, I believe that only a very small number will get any tap up, the 25% tap up. Would that be your view too?
Yeah, we totally agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it has already been said, the committee, we will make, I think as a committee after the meeting here, we should make some representations on behalf of young farmers. I think it is an issue that many of us have felt is an issue. My own son, who's in his 30s now, an NVQ, I think he done one day a week at Lockery, and people like him, even though they've a good experience in farming, maybe for a number of years, still would be ruled out under the proposal. So certainly it seems to me to be, it will not be effective as it stands.
At our Agri and Rural Affairs Committee, we had 15 practical farming members, and the night we pulled together our consultation response, every one of us would be ruled out.
Everyone, yeah. So it's going to be an issue, and it's an issue that needs looked at. Okay. Thank you very much.
Alderman McMullen.
Congratulate you on your presentation. I do agree with Declan that you did a lot of work. You don't seem to get your information out. I know nothing about you at all, and I live in the Glens. And the only time we knew anything about you when you came to the club that time there, if you can get more of your information out as to what you do. What's your long-term goal for the cross-community working? What's your long-term goal for that, or what's?
Well, in terms of a long-term goal, we don't like setting any actual, quantum figure on it, but we've always been an open organisation, open to both sides of the community. Since the last programme of funding and these targets, we've actually had to become more proactive in it and going and speaking to and working with the GAA. And as Michael has said, some of our clubs now are from other, different areas that maybe we wouldn't have been in before. But in terms of putting a quantum figure on it, we don't really want to go down that route. We'll nearly put too much pressure on us whenever we already do declare to be open, and we have no objections to being cross-community. We're totally open.
I think the biggest issue for me would be that this time round we would have to make sure that the GAA, for example, were able to fit us into their own strategic plan. As primarily a sports organisation, we were pushed down an area that they just couldn't deliver with us, and we fully understand that. When I've worked with Danny Murphy and with Ryan Finney in a previous life in sport, so on a grassroots level it worked very, very well, but strategically it just didn't fit. I think going forward we're keen to work with the GAA again, with Machran and Ferma in the south, through our sister organisation, and we're keen to work with people like Disability Sport NI and to broaden the issue of inclusion. I mean, there's a lot of disabled young people living in rural areas who never get out of the house, and to try to utilise things like sport to get them out into the community. So we see inclusion being a broad brush approach rather than just the GAA relationship going forward. Although, I mean, I was working with Maura Kelly in the last few days on a family farm mental health issue. So that work will continue. It is very hard to measure in hard and fast percentage terms success. But I just mentioned earlier on, I think it was notable for us that our last two new clubs and our last schools club all came from what would be a non-traditional side of the community for our clubs.
I mean, just an ending. I contacted one of your clubs one time to look for a meeting with them, and I got an application for me to join before I even got a date for the meeting.
Did you send it back?
And got you that the hour was. They're looking money off me before the start.
What's that direct debit Rob was talking about? Okay, Michelle McAveen.
Very much, and can I thank you for coming today, and I'm very encouraged by the work that you do. Can I maybe ask just a few questions in around your mentoring programmes and how they operate, and perhaps maybe the challenges that you may have to get mentors given time constraints on farmers who have more than enough to do with their own land?
Our membership is 50-50 roughly male-female, and it's 50-50 farmer and rural dweller. So there's great capacity there to do different types of things. And the IFAS one, for example, they were all farmers. But I was amazed when I'm in the job now 2.5 years. When we look back at the Millennium Volunteer Programme, for example, the vast bulk of our members do an awful lot else. So maybe they're on the MART committee, they're in the local church committee. It's amazing the appetite these people have. And I, as an elder statesman, even older than Robin, my engine is slowing down. But these people are out 5-6 nights a week, and if it's not at their own Young Farmers Club, it's something else in the local community. So we try to put the flavour through what Martin said today in the paper, that they do an awful lot. And if you ask something that's relevant to their local area, The answer is never no, and that's what's amazed me coming in from outside a couple of years ago. Does that answer the question? Or?
Yeah, I suppose there were specific challenges placed down by the Minister as well in and around particular programmes. Were they challenging in themselves? I can see there was obviously the target for one was for 36 clubs to attend, with 12 mentors being created out of that, and yet you surpassed that with 74 clubs attending, but yet the uptake was probably not in proportion to what was expected by the department.
I think that where we can control something ourselves totally, success is easy. I think the programmes where we've struggled a little bit were the ones where there was a second party or a third party involved as well. And because it maybe didn't sit inside, in the GAA's case, it wasn't part of their strategic plan. With countryside services, the target was unrealistic, and those are the two areas that we feel maybe we didn't do as well as we could. The staff and the members on every job where they could get themselves stuck into it, we surpassed the targets relatively easily, because there's a huge appetite for work, and there's a lot of things that are not in those documents. That each individual club, if I let Cathy loose with the programme of work that Glarryford have, it's everything from blood transfusion service to single forward payment next week. It's just a very diverse number of things that our clubs do.
Yeah, perhaps Cathy might want to share.
As a member of a Young Farmers Club, we don't solely work on young farmers' work. We now have representatives that sit in our agricultural show committee, so we're working with that as well. It's not just, with regards to our funding, it wouldn't be destroying our organisation. It's kind of discouraging us to be doing other work as well. If you don't be getting rewards from something, you're not going to push yourself as hard as you could. So you kind of pull back on everything. I know at the minute, from what I get out of Young Farmers, I haven't been in it now 14 years. I would hate for anything to be happening to it that would affect the organisation as a whole. And from what I've got out of it, I can use those skills from getting jobs, applying for universities, going and working in agricultural show committees. I can use those skills, like they're transferable.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Again, our push for time, but can I just say thank you very much for coming here. Is this your first time, each one of these? I'm sure, Michael, you've been here back and forth, but
I've been to the Health Committee.
Yes, okay. James, what about you? Is first time up?
Well, I've been to Stormont a few times, but I've never sat in these
committee?
swanky committees before.
It's not as scary as you think, Cathy, is it? No.
Not when we're green.
No. No comment. Very good answer. Very good. You're learning. Listen, I think I am feeling the mood of the meeting, and I think we should be writing to the Minister saying that we have met with you, saying that we're very impressed with your plan, the way ahead, and that we would encourage the Minister to engage with you as soon as possible in order to get established for the way forward, so that you can carry on in the manner that you have been and in the way that you plan to go ahead. To say that we're very, very impressed by your presentation and by the way you want to go forward. Members agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, just maybe before they go, maybe as a committee, could we congratulate Martin's wife on receiving a British Empire Medal?
Yes.
In the New Year's honours for the work that she's done.
Come up with me.
For Young Farmers.
Is that what she got it for?
Young Farmers. Young Farmers.
Okay, Martin, very good. You can pass that on.
I will pass it. Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, I'm glad to have a few minutes.
Okay.
I know you're very much.
Right, okay, we're
We can take evidence when we have during
take evidence, okay.
things nobody else can go.
I need to go to 2:15 for question 2.
Okay, members, you want to discuss that? I'll make a decision.
They're not under IOB. We can take evidence and bring the next ones in.
Okay, agenda item number 6 then is the Orr Briefing Dard, first annual progress report on the implementation of the Rural White Paper Action Plan. That's a mouthful. Can I refer members to the memo from the clerk at pages 55 to 58, and the briefing papers from the department at pages 59 to 149. I welcome Colette McMaster, grade 5, and Niall Haney, 7. Members will have already had a chance to read your briefing paper, so if I can ask you to take no more than 10 minutes, if that's okay. Colette, are you leading off?
Yes, I am. Yep.
10 minutes, okay?
Yes, certainly.
And then we'll go straight into questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to make this presentation regarding the first annual progress report on the implementation of the Rural White Paper Action Plan. I've with me Niall Haney, who's the DARD policy lead for the Rural White Paper Action Plan. The annual progress report 2013 has now been published on the DARD website on the 9th of January 2014, in line with the monitoring arrangements agreed for the Rural White Paper Action Plan. The Action Plan is an executive initiative led by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, which aims to address key challenges facing rural communities in Northern Ireland. The Rural White Paper Action Plan was approved by the Executive in May 2012 and formally launched by the DARD Minister in June 2012. The Action Plan provides a framework for a more integrated approach across all government departments to addressing the challenges affecting rural areas. The Action Plan acknowledges that no one department has exclusive responsibility for rural areas. It contains commitments on rural issues by all departments. The actions are grouped under 5 themes: urban-rural linkages, access to services, rural communities, rural economies and the countryside. Responsibility for implementing the actions contained in the Action Plan lies with the lead department specified and sets out the arrangements for monitoring the implementation of the actions contained in the document. And the monitoring arrangements provide for departments to report back regularly to DARD through the Interdepartmental Committee on Rural Policy on progress in implementing their commitments in the Action Plan. So that committee, that's the IDCRP, is an interdepartmental committee made up of senior civil servants from all government departments, and it is chaired by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. The IDCRP was responsible for overseeing the development of the Action Plan, and it has a key role to play in monitoring its implementation. DARD coordinates across government the delivery of the Rural White Paper Action Plan. The monitoring arrangements also provide for DARD to publish the annual progress report on its website. A copy of the annual progress report is also sent to the Executive, the ARD Committee, the other Assembly statutory committees, the other organisations represented on the Rural White Paper Stakeholder Advisory Group. In July 2013, the IDCRP met to discuss progress on implementing the Action Plan during its first year of operation and to agree the format for the annual progress report. Following that meeting, each department provided input to DARD for inclusion in the annual progress report. The first annual progress report 2013 details the good progress made by departments in implementing their commitments in the Action Plan during its first year of the operation since it was launched in June 2012. So that period of the first year is from the 1st of July 2012 to the 30th of June 2013. DARD itself has a number of commitments in the Rural White Paper Action Plan, and it's made good progress in taking these forward. In particular, DARD has progressed a number of joint initiatives in association with other departments as part of the Programme for Government commitment to bring forward a £13 million package to tackle rural poverty and social isolation. During the period of the report, the Farm Family Health Checks Programme, which is a joint initiative between DARD and the Public Health Agency, has seen around 2,300 clients receive health checks at farmers' marts and at rural community events, while joint working between DARD and DSD in 200 hard-to-heat homes and DARD and Power ANI in 300 further hard-to-heat homes has resulted in over 500 vulnerable rural homes receiving energy efficiency measures. DARD has also operated a Rural Challenge programme, which is designed to encourage rural community and voluntary groups to identify poverty and social isolation needs within their community and to propose initiatives to address these needs. DARD has continued to support the implementation of rural proofing across government through the provision of guidance and training to seek to ensure that rural needs and circumstances are considered by departments as part of their policy making. DARD has commissioned AFBI to undertake a number of rural research projects to help inform the future development of rural policy, including the tackling of rural poverty and social isolation. So the next steps then. The Minister has made clear in the forward annual report that she sees the Rural White Paper Action Plan as a live initiative which continues to respond to the needs of our rural communities and delivers meaningful outcomes for rural dwellers. She intends to ask her executive colleagues to identify within their departments new and challenging actions for inclusion in a refreshed action plan to be produced during 2014. As a next step, the IDCRP will meet with some of the key stakeholders who are represented on the Rural White Paper Stakeholder Advisory Group to discuss the Annual Progress Report 2013 and take their views on the current issues and challenges facing rural communities, which might be addressed through new actions in a refreshed Rural White Paper Action Plan. A further meeting of the IDCRP will be arranged to discuss opportunities for identifying new actions within departments for inclusion in a refreshed action plan to be developed during the coming year. DARD will continue to monitor progress by departments on implementing the action plan and will produce a second annual progress report towards the end of 2014 in respect of the period of operation up to the 30th of June 2014. And that brings me to the end just of the introductory presentation, so we're happy to take any questions or comments you might have.
Okay, thank you very much, Colette, for your presentation and your information. Straight on the questions. This has been delayed, I suppose, the actual action plan itself, and then the annual monitoring report, just through the time on that. Can I ask, I'm led to believe that it was delayed because of departments not coming forward with their plans. Is that the case, and can you name the departments?
Well, I suppose really, in terms of delay, what we were talking about was the first year of operation of the plan, and at the outset, the date for publishing the report on the first year period was September to September 2013. So the first year of operation of the plan is up to the 30th of June.
Right, okay.
And I suppose it's really on reflection and in hindsight, that was a very ambitious date, because the sort of year's operation was not over until the 30th of June. So departments couldn't really gathering together the information covering that first year followed the 30th of June. So it was really very much down to the practicality of getting that input together over the holiday period, which in effect that was, and we were in recess. So there was first of all that issue for departments to put together that input and then to clear that input with ministers. So just our experience from doing that is that it was probably an overambitious time.
Yes.
Set for the report to be published, the progress report to be published. And we'll review that for the future.
Yeah. I suppose we've always had this concern that whilst there are many good things and targets within the action plan, the Rural White Paper Action Plan as it became, we always had this concern that it had no real enforcement and no teeth. And many of these things are very, very good. Some of them could well happen anyway. What difference has this white paper had? What real difference has it made to rural living?
There's the action plan itself, the way it was developed was following the consultation about the Rural White Paper Action Plan, and that was picking up on the needs identified by stakeholders. So the actions in there are seeking to address those needs. There's each department that has its own actions has commitments to that, and so they're committed, each of them, to lead on their specific actions. Certainly we can talk about the DARD actions that we've delivered on and what they've delivered and whether those are actions by DARD or actions from DARD acting jointly with other departments. And maybe Val will bring you in on that.
One of the key actions that we'd see it actually helped bring rural areas to high priority at executive level. It was something that was never done before. So our departments had to take the responsibility seriously. The fact that we're having an annual monitoring point at this stage, and we're going to bring in stakeholders in, along with departmental officials from the IDCRP, provide a challenge room there, and that'll also help identify new actions moving forward. Some of the key actions that we've brought forward has actually showed and demonstrated that joint working with Department of Melbourne has actually proven very, very effective. Some of the health work we're doing with the Farm Families Health Checks has actually been very, very good. It's done in conjunction with DHSS and the PHA. So the outworking there has been very good. There's a number of other things that are working very good with different departments, such as the borehole scheme with DRD. So some of these actions, you could argue that some of them may have gone ahead, but I would imagine a lot of these bigger ones wouldn't have went ahead without the joint funding, the joint commitment with departments as a result of the Rural White Paper.
Okay. There are, within the targets and the original actions, there seems to be 4 missing. Action number 90, 92, 93 and 94. Action number 90, for instance, we will work towards extending the natural gas network to main towns in the west and to the east down to offer energy consumers additional fuel choice along with the cost and efficiency benefits associated with natural gas. Why has that been omitted? Is that not important anymore?
I didn't think anyone should have been admitted. Chair, sorry. Which numbers were they again?
90, 92, 93 and 94.
Because I know that some of the ones, there was duplication. Remember when we launched reports, there was 2 of them have actually been factored in other third report to FMDF members.
So they have amalgamated with other action plans?
No, they're probably just duplicated, probably just the twice.
Oh, so they would have been yes, I can remember.
You remember way back, it was just in there.
Yes.
So, but I think there was only 2 of them. I think I referred to, so we'll just double check it. I think it was probably 92 and 93. I think already factored elsewhere in the report.
Yes.
But
so, well, we'll not take up time now. If you could check that, if you can investigate action number 90, 92, 93 and 94.
Yeah, because they should all be factored in, then they should all
and if they have been amalgamated into another action, then if you can address that and get that detail to us.
Yes, will do.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you. I'll put it out now. Robin Swan.
Thanks, Chair. I suppose you touched on it. Where did you find the most resistance to some of the recommendations? Is it from department staff? Is it from resource?
I think the main resistance was the fact there was no budget, and we're already working in restricted budgetary times. So although there was a lot of things we'd like to have done, departments already had their own priorities, and yes, they would have done things on a regional basis. But it was actually getting what we'd say is the different needs of rural or differentiation. You maybe have to do a bit more work, say for the likes of our work on the Maximising Access project. You maybe have to do a lot of home visits rather than just put a poster on a website or get a mail shot. So it's things like that they're much more labour intensive. So it's things like we've got over it in some of the areas. There's other areas probably if you had a bit more money, you'd do a lot more work. But I think it's probably to do with cost and resource intensification would be the biggest barriers.
And you find then, now you'll get into other departments' forward work programme, they are consulting more, or they are taking note?
They are, and they're actually asking us for input on how the rural proof and how the rural proof adequately to look at to see if there's any different needs. We only see them if they're cutting across the executive level. Other than some departments will be aware and will ask us, some will not know about because we can't police it because it's other departments' responsibilities. But we provide support and advice role on rural proofing to help them identify if there's any specific rural needs for any policies they're bringing forward.
And then in regard to your own, sorry, that's the last question.
Okay.
In regard to your own resources and responding to those requests, are you adequately staffed that you're not delaying on other departments' process of work by the time you get back to that?
Well, with regards to the rural proofing aspect of it, some of that work's carried out by the likes of the Rural Development Council, contract themselves to carry out training, and what we would do in a lot of cases would signpost them to other people who could provide much more closer to the ground advice than we could provide. So that's not really intensive for us, but it's getting them engaged with our stakeholders in the early stage.
Okay, thanks, Chair.
Okay, Alderman McMullen.
Hi, the Going for Growth programme, how is it going?
Going for Growth, although it's not actually part of the
No,
the white
but
paper.
it's in there.
It is in there as an action. It's that's one that DARD has been working with. Obviously, well, DARD and Daddy jointly leading on that, but working with across all departments to develop a response to the Going for Growth recommendations. So there has been an interdepartmental group has worked on that. So we've been working collaboratively with other departments to develop that response. That response is now at the point where it will be, it's to be considered by executive ministers.
Well, the recent court case, will it hold back any of the programmes within the Rural White Paper? Because we can,
No, it.
or funding.
Yeah, the Rural White Paper will have actions in here committed to by DARD and there's actions committed to by other departments.
Yes.
So the recent case was in relation particularly to the EU-funded, the RDP, but the actions that are in here by other departments are outside of that. To date, a lot of the funding from DARD for actions that is in the Rural White Paper has come from the Tackling Rural Poverty and Social Isolation Fund, so that's separate from the Rural Development Funding. Now, do you want to?
It's national money, so it doesn't impact on the funding carried through in the Rural White Paper Action Plan. There's no EU funding that we're working with in DARD through this.
So that's the White Paper safe?
It's well, as far as we know, it's safe, and any of the actions we're carrying forward, it's national money we're using rather than European.
And the other departments are still going ahead with their funding?
They're still going ahead with their commitments, and they seem to be doing well from what we've seen to date.
That's good.
What the opportunity now, I haven't done the first year of operation, is to go out and look at how we would refresh across government that action plan.
There's been successes within the first year.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've talked to some groups on that, which is very encouraging indeed. Will we be looking at them this year to see how they get on to improve the second year?
Yes, we'll be continuing to monitor the actions that are committed to within this existing action plan, which included from the start short-term and medium-term and longer-term actions, so those are ongoing. But also we'll be speaking to departments to identify new actions that we could include in the action plan for the future.
That's excellent, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Joe Byrne, Deputy Chairperson.
Thanks, Chairman. I'm sorry I had to go out. I apologise. In relation to the Rural White Paper, I welcome the presentation and I want to make a comment generally. The issues that I keep hearing about are rural post offices, rural community transport, rural primary schools, broadband facilities and home health. Those are the issues I think that most affect people that live in the rural areas. I welcome the Department's efforts in relation to rural community transport and MARA, but there's no mention of these other issues. Whether your department or other departments. So how can we go about tackling and including some of these issues like rural post offices, rural primary schools and home health?
Now, do you want to pick up on the post offices?
On the primary schools, it would be Department of Education would be responsibility. Now, we do get correspondence on occasion asking to support closure of it, but we have passed it because policy rests outside of DARD. There's very little we can do. I managed to good lobby for support of it. With regards to post offices, because they're outside government funding, there's very little we can do. We were looking in the past about how we can actually help rural businesses. The post office being one of the business could actually avail of support under the rural development programme. So there's opportunities there. And the other thing with post offices, they get quite a lot of funding through Treasury. Quite a lot of work, but I don't think DARD can actually intervene because it's not a devolved matter, funding of post offices. So, because we did look at this in the past, because we think post offices, schools, libraries are an integral part of the lifeblood of rural communities. But how DARD can utilise its funds with post offices, I think we were told by Treasury it wasn't a devolved matter and DARD couldn't intervene. I know they've done schemes in England and Wales where they look at actually helping support post offices, the post office local model, but that's more to do with providing better signage, providing better access for disability access, things like that. So maybe there is scope to do something along them lines, but we would need post offices to come to us to say this is what we need. But I know there is a fund that Treasury have for supportive post offices that could maybe utilise that to the best effect. But there's other departments, the home health thing you mentioned. We do hear that as an occasion, that is a big issue because of the time. They're given so much time, and in rural areas you have to take account of the travel needs and the additional cost of travel, additional time it takes to travel in between. So that's something that you could actually press health on. Dart's hands basically tied. We can come as part of a new action. We would push health to do something there. They'll have their own priorities, but perhaps this committee could work with the health committee to do something, because we'd be quite keen to have something like that done, because we're doing schemes under Tackling Rural Poverty and Social Isolation framework on connecting elderly people. There's a pilot ongoing in West Tyrone at the minute, and that's coming up like that. There is a thing about home helps and people not getting the help and support that they would like, even if it's just a matter of sitting down for 5 minutes for a chat and things like that. You couldn't measure that, but the Connecting Elderly programme is running into that, and we're doing that in conjunction with PHA, so there is scope to actually develop that, but we'd need health on board, and with their budgets and their priorities it just may not work out. Obviously we'd like that, because we think that's very useful, but it's how we get them to live up to it and how we get the health minister to sign up to that is a difficulty.
Well, Chairman, I raise those issues because those are the upfront issues that people living in their areas, in my opinion, are most concerned about. So that begs the question, in relation to the development of the rural white paper, does DART have to wait until other departments formulate generic policies on rural PRIPPing and on rural development? Or must DART seize the initiative and highlight these issues that really concern rural people?
Well, I think part of our next steps, what we're doing now at the end of this first year of operation, and Minister said she'll be looking to departments to put new and more challenging actions into a refreshed plan. The way we're proposing we'll go about that is to convene another meeting of the Interdepartmental Committee, and for that committee to actually meet with the key stakeholders from the Stakeholder Advisory Group. So what we're wanting to hear from the stakeholders is their reflection on what's been done so far and what are the issues, the key issues for stakeholders, and do they feel they're being addressed through the Rural White Paper or not. So I think through that sort of forum, and that is with DART coordinating that, but it's involving all other departments as well. There is that opportunity to do that as part of the review that we're intending to do next. So I think there is scope for all of that to happen, for that discussion, and to identify issues that are key to stakeholders and to see how they might be addressed.
Okay, Declan McAleer.
Thank you, Chair. A note there from what's provided here that there seems to be pretty good progress in terms of meeting the targets. The majority are either labelled green or they're on target, and I suppose that raises the question: are the targets challenging enough? Are they robust enough? And for example, like I'm looking at in the OFM, DFM one, Coastal Investment Fund, there are no rural areas in the top 10% most deprived in the north by virtue of the fact of how deprivation is measured.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, are these targets are they robust and challenging enough to, and is that why with such a good rate?
Yeah, well, certainly there's a range of actions in there, and I think now, as I said at the beginning, there's some of those actions that have had good impact. I know that, and there is good progress, so there's good stuff being done, but it's a starting point, and maybe there are other more tempting things could be done, and that's what would, I think, certainly the Minister's keen to encourage others to think in that way.
The Social Investment Fund, when it first was tabled in draft format, there was massive amounts of rural areas not even included. Yeah. So I think we've got to move to actually include geographically all rural areas included. At least that was one step, and we've got engagement from our community groups, part of some of the SIF groups that are set up in rural areas. A lot of work to be done, but I think that's something that our stakeholders could challenge the OFMDF and so on at the meeting to actually push it further. Because I know our stakeholders, like the Rural Development Council and the Rural Community Network, have actually spoke to us about SIF and their difficulties with it, and they've been relayed to OFMDFM.
Okay, Joanne Dobson.
Thank you, Chair. Can I apologise for missing your briefing? Could I just ask you a question on the MARA project? And I know the Deputy Chair touched on it briefly. So, if I'm right, the aim is to offer 12,000 rural household, a visit from a trained enabler. Can you give us an update on this?
Just ask now if you can do that, if you're in a position to.
I could write to you because it's not something I'm totally involved in because it's done through our delivery agency and the development division and with the public health agency. I can get you written updates on that if that's it. But work has been progressing very well, Mara, in the room.
Just during yesterday's debate in the Chamber when there was sparks flying, I think the Minister did say yesterday that our project has resulted in 133,000 being brought into rural homes as a result of
5,000 to date in March.
Something
You
like
just
that.
want to You are. You were keeping
There's so much smoke going on.
Very impressive.
Fire going on, you
Very
see,
impressive, Dick.
Do you want the current update or do you want to update as of June last year?
Current update just would be useful.
That one hasn't worked out as graduation rate, yes?
That's when you work best, Dick, under pressure.
No, I was watching the sparks flying, you see, I was just watching, you know.
John, are you finished?
No, I'll have the figures. If I'm satisfied, you'll come back with those for me. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can I ask, and again, I'll try and go in the nitty-gritty, and if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, certainly give us a shout and I'll try and get you to the action point. But can I ask, first of all, how is the DART-appointed statistician getting on with his work? Action point 32, is that?
Yeah. We've had we've had a new person has started in September 2013, and so there's there's a range of things they're doing. We're hoping, certainly I think that relates to one of the first actions or the first action on our action plan. And in relation to the a couple of actions there, action number 5, action number 32, we had said that our action, which is to do with the review of the current classification of settlements, we're hoping that work will now commence in 2014. Let's say that the person has joined us from September 2013. So that's helpful. I'm going to be very helpful to us, certainly in terms of these couple of actions and taking forward where we were missing that expertise within house to be able to dedicate to that.
Well, part of that work will be also looking at what information's out there from all departments and sort of pulling out the rule that's been sourced. Anybody coming across asking us for information for a policy making, we can actually point them in the right direction and say there's a lot of information here which could help you make better policy.
To tie into Declan McLear's point on super output areas, which I think we can all accept is a skewed measure between rural and urban. Would that be in the statistician's work or remit to actually challenge those and actually make sure that the targets and the action plans that are in the action plan are actually hitting the target and hitting the true target?
I think because of the DART statistician, it'll only be able to help DART actions. That's the unfortunate thing. I think I spoke to expert stakeholders in the Rural Community Network are very strong about noble indices and how it measures deprivation. The Minister's also wrote in the past the DFP Minister on this to see if there needs scope to look at disadvantaged rural because of the smaller settlement size. But I think that work is part of the rural urban classification group that the DFP Minister will be setting up and it'll be cutting across all departments. It's a whole package of work to be brought forward. So we'll not just look at, because any change in definition of rural or impact on stats rural will have an adverse impact in all areas. So it'll be cross-executive.
So if the executive is going to set up a group in connection with DFP and OFMD?
I think DFP are going to set up a group with all executive departments represented to look at urban-rural classifications. They did it in the past before the rule was developed, but it went to the default settlement size.
Yes.
So now with RP and all, they're looking at this again, so it'll be, I think, 2014, 2015 before TFP advised they can look at this. And that'll be part of that work. We'll also be looking at how you measure and how you actually look at how rural is different from urban and things like deprivation indices. I would say that'll be part of that work.
So how does then the Rural White Paper action plan sit with that?
When we were brought forward, we'd see that as one of the actions in the White Paper, so we'd keep asking DFP for updates on this and to push that. isn't that they should actually be contributing to and answering. And when we're going out for further, once they're thinking further developing this, when we're going out for further actions, we'd expect somebody coming through strongly from the FPO on this.
Okay, final question. In some of your action points from 54, 53, from 53 on, you talk about the relationship between DARG and then the department down in the Republic of Ireland. It talks about we will share our experiences and we will cooperate through formal and informal. We will work closely together in the implementation of our respective rural white papers. Surely this is all common sense anyway. Surely this is stuff and work that was having to go on. We don't need it put down in paper.
Well, it's capturing something that, yeah, there's good practice in there too. So it is capturing stuff that's happening and that we want to continue to happen. So from that point of view,
Which will always be green. Which will always happen anyway. So I suppose my question is, do we need 90 odd action plans whenever we really do 50% of those anyway? And it's just good governance to do it?
I think it's we have a number of sort of formal sort of strategies or action plans where we've sort of we work along, you know, with colleagues in the south, and so that sort of work's reflected in a range of action plans, and but that's something that we, I suppose, by having it here, you know, it sort of means that it's we come back to it, that it's there, and that it can be, you know, it's monitored, and if there's progress made, it can be formally noted and so on. So from that point of view, it's helpful rather than, yes, it's something that would happen, but it's to sort of ensure it's visible that something's happening.
Okay. You'll get back to this with regards to the missing action points.
Yep. A couple of things there that we will come back to.
Okay. No further questions. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
For your time here with us today. Thank you. We will move on then. Agenda item number 7 then. The SL1 on Gangmasters licensing exclusion regulations, Northern Ireland 2014. Can I refer members to the memo from the clerk at pages 152 to 153 and papers from the department at pages 154 to 181. Can I advise members that the rule will be laid before the Assembly under the negative resolution procedure and is expected to come into operation by February 2014. The Gangmasters Licensing Act was introduced in light of the tragedy at Morgan Bay and was introduced to curb the activities of those gangmasters who exploit their workers and or act illegally. The exclusion regulations were made in Northern Ireland in 2006. In 2010 they were remade to narrow the scope of the licensing arrangements by specifying circumstances where a person does not need to obtain a gangmaster's licence. DEFRA held a UK-wide consultation on the regulations, to which there was only one response from Northern Ireland, which came from Forest Service. That consultation concluded that the focus should be on the protection of the most vulnerable workers and resources dedicated to dealing with criminal gangmasters. The regulations are therefore being remade to allow for further exclusions. Can I seek comments from the members? Robin Swan.
Chair, just in regards to point 1, 5A and B and 7, and as regards specifically to agricultural workers, and I note there's no similar legislation down south. 5A, B and 7 sort of refer to really agricultural subcontractors or farm labour. I wonder, is there any need for, you know, a reciprocal approach from the Republic of Ireland in regard to, you know, it tells you the number of hours worked delivering a specific service. If they were working on one side of the border for 30 hours, the other side of the border for another 30 hours, is there any way of tracking that? It's just a query if the department has thought of it or are taking action on it.
Okay. You wish to write to the department on that?
As long as it doesn't hold up. You know, I don't see any need to hold up the legislation, but it would just be really clarity to make sure that there is cross-border working in this.
Okay. Members content? Any other issues? Okay. You're happy enough to seek those clarifications before we move on. I don't think it's time pressured.
That's all right. No.
Okay. Agenda item number 8, correspondence. Can I refer members to the only item of correspondence received this week at page 184? from the South Antrim Community Network on behalf of the local rural support networks, who are requesting a meeting to discuss plans for the future. Probably something very similar to what we've received today, albeit a different organisation, of course. Can I seek agreement to invite the networks to the meeting on the 4th of February before work commences on the Reservoir Bill? Okay. Agenda item number 9 is a forward work programme. Can I refer members to the forward work programme, pages 184 to 193? Can I seek agreement for the forward work programme? Members content? Agreed? Okay. Agenda item number 10 then is any other business. Joe, you're wanting to bring up the remote sensing.
Yeah, Chairman, I've had a couple of people who contacted me during the week who thinks that we haven't raised this issue, whereas we have discussed it here last week. But I think we need to firmly tell the public at large that we have considered the issue and that we've written to the department seeking an explanation of what can be done about this, because it's obvious that there's over 3,000 farmers that are badly affected by the remote sensing, which has led to them having a dispute about their application, and it's causing grave concern, certainly after I'm picking up.
Okay, just to inform members, we have written last week, we discussed this last week, as Joe has already alluded to. We've sought clarification from the Minister, that hasn't come, or the Department, that hasn't come forth yet. We will chase that up, Joe, because I think it is an urgent issue, something that's, I think we've all experienced it in our constituency offices, and see where it's at. I'm happy enough to do that. You talk about awareness, Joe. Get that message out.
I think some people feel that more needs to be said and done, more action required to try and address this issue, because the farmers are not at fault, but it's the technology that the department has seems to have discrepancies in it, and farmers are being blamed and paying the penalty.
Yes. Press release from the committee.
Yes, I think that would be
okay. Do we bring it back next week, or are members content that we draft something up as Joe has said?
Well, what exactly are we doing here? I can't really hear what you're saying. Are you saying that the remote sensing is wrong?
No. There was, I think it was 1,100 farms were inspected remotely this year, just over 1,100.
13.
And the problem and the issue is that those farms were not notified that they were inspected until they sought clarification around their payment. In other words, some of them waited until they were expecting their payment and it didn't come. When they contacted their local Dart office or Orchard House, they then were caught up in a tennis match between the two buildings offices, whereby one was not taking responsibility for informing the farmer and the other was doing the same. I then put an urgent 2-day oral question on that, and out of that prompted a letter to go from the department to these farmers who remote sensed, received inspection through remote sensing, to inform them that they were part of a process that they were inspected and that they wouldn't be receiving their payment in December. Some of those people, most of those people, received their letter after the date they were expecting their single farm payment. So it's not so much around the inspection and the remote sensing of it, it's around the communication and why these farmers were not communicated to sooner in order that they could plan their year ahead and work out cash flow.
Mr. Chairman, it's certainly, it's the department from procedure. Normally farmers would be aware and been told that they're getting an inspection, and I think there's no doubt this is, it's not good enough. It's an act of incompetence by the department, I think. Those farmers that are waiting on payments, as many of us are fully aware, you're waiting on the payment, expecting it in December, and then it's told at the last moment that you had an inspection. You didn't realise that because it's done by remote sensing, and then your payment may be some time ahead before you receive it. So Certainly answers need sought by the committee.
Robin, you're on this issue.
Chair, it's just really to reiterate what Joe was saying. I think there was a perception out there that we maybe weren't doing enough. You know, I'm hosting a public meeting next Wednesday night in Larryford Hall that was mentioned here earlier on. There's departmental officials coming to that because it seems to be in two geographical areas. One's up the Band Valley, the other's up the Clocker Valley. And where in the past inspections would have been 10% of farm numbers, so you'd have sort of farmers across the whole of Northern Ireland would have been delayed with the remote censoring. It's put all those farmers into a specific geographical area. And one of the things, Chairman, that has really brought the matter to light is the number of agricultural suppliers within that fixed geographical area who are now completely stuck with cash flow.
Yeah, because it isn't a problem in my area. I know it's not.
You see, whereas in my area, well, everybody's.
That's about you of the problem.
Everybody's delayed.
I know what you mean.
So we've got suppliers out there who used a wee bit of cash flow, maybe 10% of their boys, waiting on a late payment, whereas there's 100% of a lot of their.
There's only one thing I can say in relation to inspections this year. I know 2 farmers very well that got inspections in November and they got their payment in the middle of December.
That's physical inspection,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But they did in fairness to them pull out all the steps and get them in there quick,
Sure, you can come up if you want.
Yes.
Very welcome.
I drive 75 miles every day here.
Okay, members content then? Also then on the issue.
I'll bring it back to committee next week.
No, sorry. Do we have to wait to next week? Or are you
Circulate.
You get it away.
Yeah. Okay, get it away, get it out. Okay, also the other issue that was brought up today was by a couple of members was the qualification, level 3 qualification and question 17 on the consultation, the top up for young farmers. Are members content that we write also on that, showing our concern?
Yes, absolutely.
For this issue. Are members content?
Yeah.
Okay, any other business members?
Have we any word back from the police on the on rural crime?
That letter went last week to the Justice Committee. We were not meeting this week, so it will be next week before the Justice Committee consider that.
And that was with regards to a joint protocol?
A joint meeting with the Justice Committee and ourselves.
Okay, members, sorry, John?
Could I just commend the staff and all their hard work last week, the farm safety event? I thought it was very, very successful. And speaking to the guys from the fire service as well afterwards, I were very impressed with how, certainly the number, the large volume of people that were there giving the message out. So I thought, just want to commend you. I know it took a lot of preparation, a lot of organisation, Elaine, and the rain certainly didn't dampen the enthusiasm we had for the event. Just it was very, very good, very well organised event. So, thank you.
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments because it's one of the best attended and most successful events I think I've been. The only downside, of course, for us was that we couldn't hear the whole presentation, which was a shame, absolute shame. But nonetheless, it went very, very well, and it received, which was what we had set out to do. It received a lot of media coverage and went right across the spectrum. So that's all about raising awareness for the safety issues. So very, very good, Joe.
It's something I would again congratulate the staff and organising it and getting such a big crowd there. And given the inclement weather, marking with the crowds were there. And Chairman, it was good to see 2 ministers.
That's right.
Active and engaging on the day.
That is right. Certainly even we had representatives there, a director from Ballymena Borough Council, which was very good. I was surprised. Of course we had sent out the invitation, but at the very highest level, assistant executive, so very, very good. Okay, members, date time of next meeting then will take place on Tuesday 28th of January 2014 at 1:30 p.m. in room 30, Parliament Buildings. I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
This is the Northern Ireland Assembly, Committee Room 30.